Hey guys, first of all I'm very sorry because I didn't realize that after the last video we do have same issue happening, and that is when I hold the button I will loot everything that we have in the loot containers. And also same thing with like an inventory, if I hold the button it will close it straight away. So we'll have to fix it for the absolute last time, hopefully. And it's actually quite easy fix. For inventory we need to go to interface, and in here we're going to set up new variable which will be can press key. And then here we're going to set it, but first we need to get it, do branch, and if we can press key then we will set it to false and we will continue whatever needs to be done. But if you can't press key then we will go to false and we will return unhandled. And the thing is, at the moment its default is false, so we wouldn't be actually able to close the inventory. And the way we're going to enable it is in the function override we will do on key up. So when we release the key inside the inventory, so if we were holding it and we release it inside the inventory, we will enable this can press key, and here we will do handled. And now if I were to hold I to open the inventory, it doesn't close anymore until I release it, and then I can press it and close it. And just bear in mind, this doesn't work with enhanced input, or at least I couldn't make it work in any way. I tried all the flash inputs and stuff, it just flash input is not happening for whatever reason. So I'm using legacy keys here, so just for inventory and for also for interact I would recommend just doing these standard ones. Once I actually figure out how to do it in an enhanced input and it will be flashing correctly, which is not doing at the moment, then we will change it, but for now this is the only way. And for looting multiple items we just need to go to loot bag and do pretty much the same thing. So let's go to widget, loot container, loot container. Here set up new variable which will be can press key, and here on input on key down we're going to check if we can press key. Then if we have pressed it we will set it to false and we will return unhandled. And then on key up we will do we will set it to true and return handled. And that is pretty much it for the input. So if I go now, I'm holding E on the keyboard, it doesn't load anything. I will release now and then I can press it again and it will load first item or take all and return the input to player. Same thing for the chest. So if I'm holding it I will unlock it and then I can loot it, and it doesn't actually return my input to player. I think I forgot to do that in the last video. I said there might be some widgets that I forgot, so that will be probably in the items in chest when we create the loot container. Create loot container, add to viewport, loot is focusable, set input mode UI only. Disable input needs to go, we're not doing that anymore, so just remove that part and I'll fix it. And then one more thing I have noticed is when we drop item and open the slider, if I press left arrow or right arrow, it doesn't react because it doesn't have a focus. If I click on it, then it will And that is because in the last video, in the widgets, when we're doing it in the options widget, when we're dropping multiple items, drop multiple items, and here on drop button, and we're creating the widget, I have added this macro because I was adding it to back of all of the functions, but here it's not meant to go because we don't want to return input to interface because we're setting input to slider. So that was only the small thing. And now pretty much, so now I can't open the inventory. Actually, did I just open it? No. Yeah, that's fine. So I can't hold the I and to close it. Here, let's test out the chest. I'm holding the button as well. Doesn't loot it, release, hold it, it will be empty. And here, pretty much we don't have to really do anything. I mean, if you hold the button here and open the trader, it will close it straight away, but you shouldn't be holding the button, because if you press trader, that should just open the trader, you know, you shouldn't be holding button. This would be a little bit harder to prevent with the button, because if we did the same thing that we just did on pressed, you might open it with the mouse and not hold the button, and then the first time you wouldn't be able to actually close it. So you would click and it would just give you true to a variable, because after you release the button, so it would be really complex. So we'll leave it as it is, it's working fine. And then one other thing I wanted to do, which is big one, and it will save us a lot of time doing the widgets in the future, is we'll create a base widget with some functionality that we can then pass on to other widgets. And this, obviously we won't have to do all the inputs, setting is focusable and all that stuff, because all of that will be done inside the base widget. So let's just go to widgets, right click, create new user widget, widget blueprint, and this will be base widget underscore widget. I know I do have widget, but base widget is what I want to call it, so it will be base widget. And in here, in the graph, so I'll remove tick and pre-construct, and on the graph I want to do set input mode UI only. From here we will get player controller, and we'll flash input as well, and widget in focus will be self. And also, instead of setting is focusable, we'll go to designer, select this base widget, and here check is focusable, which will do the same thing pretty much. And also we can get a player reference, so we don't have to get it everywhere where we set the widget. We will have it in a parent. So cast to player, blueprint, get player character, and promote to variable called player BP. No, player reference, sorry, that's what we're calling it. So player reference. And also we need to show mouse cursor, I just realized, so show mouse cursor, because we're going to widget, set show mouse cursor, and that will enable mouse cursor. And I think that might be it. And then we also are going to do close widget function, so custom event. So add custom event, and this will be close widget. And here we want to have two inputs. First one will be widget to focus. So widget we want to return focus to, which will be user widget object reference. And then second one will be if we want to return focus to widget or just to game only. So we can call it set focus UI. We could have done enumerator with the selection, so set focus to UI or set focus to game, but we only need these two, so the boolean variable will do fine. So after we will do branch. First we will remove from parent because we're closing the widget, so we will remove from parent self. And then in here, based on selection, so if it's true, we setting focus to different UI, we will set input mode UI only. This widget will be widget in focus, and player controller is get player controller. If we don't want to return it to UI, that means we're returning it to game. So set input mode game only, and we need to, from the player controller, set show mouse cursor and turn it off. Compile, and I don't have a player controller here, and also flash input. Compile and save. And I'm just thinking what else we could do. That's pretty much it. And now the way this is going to work, so on the widget, let's do it on the interface. In our interface, we can now go to class settings. Here in the parent class, we can select this base widget, compile and save. And then also in event graph on construct, we're going to right click and we're going to add call to parent function and connect it. So this will inherit everything that is in the construct and just generate all the variables. That way we do have a player reference, so we don't need to get it, and it changed our variable name to player reference 01. So I'm going to remove this player reference 01. We don't need to actually get any of this because we have the reference now in a parent. Compile and save just in case we're using it somewhere. So target here to close the inventory. So player reference we just get as a variable, so get player ref, connected here. But now when we're closing the inventory, we're just going to call close widget. Since we're returning input to game because we're closing the interface, we not going to tick it to true, and widget to focus we don't have to set, it will just close the widget and set the input to game. And then this one inside the player, double click on it. We don't need remove from parent because we have that there, don't need show mouse cursor, don't need set input mode, we only need to actually destroy preview actor. So this one we can call destroy preview actor instead of close inventory because that is the only thing that we need to do. And here also when we create it, references are fine, add to viewport is fine, show mouse cursor we don't have to do, and we don't have to set input anymore, or is focusable. So every widget we now create will be much easier. We just need to keep the references. And that should be all. So now I press I to open the inventory. If I press I again, I do have a focus, so it closes correctly, opens correctly, and it's working exactly the same way as it was before. And I'm not going to change the widgets that we already have because we already have set it up. This is just making it easier, so we're going to start using it from now on. But if you wanted, you can just go, for example, options, and do the same thing. Go to class settings, and here you would parent it, and then on the event graph, event construct, you would get call to parent functions, and you would have to change the player reference, which we're using in quite a lot of places here. But you would make it much easier because we can remove all that input and stuff. So that is pretty much it. Just thinking, was there anything else? No, that input chest from here. Yeah, I do have input. Set quick slot. I think there was one more place that I didn't have. Was it drop item? Yeah, okay. So in the drop item, I'm returning wrong input. So one last thing is go to probably in options widget. Set input mode UI only, that's fine. So in the slider, we do have set input interface to game and UI. So that enables player controls. We need to do set input mode UI only. And interface reference will be the widget in focus. And here we don't even need to do is focusable anymore, because we do have it set on that base widget which interface is child of. Cool, that's all. So I'll see you in the next chapter. Hopefully there won't be any more bugs or issues. Bye.